What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 57. Emerald Peaches. Wednesday. Day 150. And that's the match. Mr. Aksora has entered the red, Glinda said. Ah. Those bullets pack a punch, Garland Jown said. Of course they do. They're my bullets, Garland said. Mr. Ark, it's good to see you are now almost caught up to your peers. Though I suggest you find a way of using range attacks, Glinda said. Yes, Jown said. You two are dismissed, Glinda said. Jown and Garland then left. All right, we have time for one last match. The match will be between Izuku Midoriya and Orium Pendragon, Glinda said. Good luck, Izuku, Orium said. Good luck to you too, Deku said. The two then made their way to the arena. On my mark. Begin, Glinda said. Orium and Deku then fought. Whilst Orium was a skilled opponent, he was no match for Deku's speed and power. That's the match. Mr. Pendragon's aura has entered the red, Glinda said. Nice match, Deku said, extending his hand to help Orium up. Oh, please. We both know that you could have taken me down in seconds, Orium said. But then we wouldn't have learned anything, Deku said. That's true, I guess, Orium said. Deku then used Black Whip to grab Orium's sword, which had been flung to the other side of the arena during their match. Orium looked at Deku in confusion as Deku held his sword. Is something the matter, Deku asked. Oh, no. Everything is fine, Orium said, taking his sword back. How the fuck is Izuku able to lift Excalibur, Mina said. Huh? What do you mean, Jack asked. It's just a simple sword. How hard can it be to lift, Evelyn said. It may look like a simple sword, but it isn't. I mean, even Teal couldn't lift it, he dropped it when Orium let him hold it, Mina said. Well, Izuku is a lot stronger than he looks, Jack said. Strength isn't the issue. Orium said that Excalibur becomes heavy to those it doesn't deem worthy, Mina said. Ah, that doesn't surprise me, Evelyn said. Me neither. Deku is more than worthy to lift Excalibur, no questions asked, Jack said. Izuku just gets more and more impressive than I first thought. I might have to see how he handles his sword again, Mina said. If you're going to do that, then you'll need some help, Evelyn said. Oh my gods, Jack said. Let's move out, Evelyn said. Evelyn and Mina then headed to the locker room to test Deku's big sword. After school, Deku had gone to meet with May. Just like that, May asked. Just like that? Well, not exactly. I of course told them everything you told me. And we pretty much all shared the same conclusion, revenge or not, we don't believe you would be bringing people into a death trap. Not after the way we heard you speak to Ruby, Deku said. No, I wouldn't, May said. If you asked us, it's because you believe it can be done. And you asked us specifically because you believe we can do it, together. I bet you never asked this of anyone else before, Deku said. That's correct, May said. Then that's good enough for us. We owe you, remember, Deku said. I have a feeling you may have not discussed this as much as I would have liked you to. But I'm not going to refuse the help I asked for. Thanks, Izuku, May said. My pleasure. What now, Deku asked. Now I gather and prepare the information you're going to need, at a distance, so that you can deal with the number of situations on your hands without having to worry about mine yet, May said. Of course you would find that out, Deku said. Sorry for spying on you, it's just that I was a bit afraid you were going to refuse. And, if I may, before I go, May said. What is it, Deku asked. I'm not the only one who's been looking. Watch your back, if you haven't been before, May whispered. I already knew that, but thanks anyway. See you around, May, Deku said. Deku knew that Cinder had been watching him and she was currently doing so. Meanwhile, Jack, Penny and Evelyn were on the lab ship. Absolutely not, Jack yelled. Oh, wow, never seen you react like this before. Only makes me wanna do it more, Evelyn said. I don't understand what the problematic aspect is, Jack. It's a lovely design, tailor-made to your natural colors and size, Penny said. I can see that, Penny, but just make me a suit, alright, Jack said. Does the thought really bother you that much, Evelyn asked. Skirts and gowns just don't look good on me, alright. My legs are too muscular and just no, Jack said. Jacqueline, I think you're going to look just fine, Penny said. That's a nice thought and all, Penny, but Jack said. Also, we've already ordered the accessories for it, Penny said. Damn you, carrots, Jack blushed. You're worrying too much. There are a lot of people who would like to see you in a dress. And some of them would like your muscular thighs. One such person's name begins with an I, Evelyn said. What is your deal in shipping me with Izuku, Jack asked. Because it's fun watching you becoming a flustered mess, and it's one of the few things that gets him to blush now. And I know somewhere in that heart of yours that you like him, Evelyn said. I do not, Jack said. But you shared a kiss, Penny said. That doesn't count as a kiss, Jack said. Lips made contact, Evelyn said. Fuck you too, Jack said. Nah, fuck Aiju instead, Evelyn said. Arg, Jack yelled. Jack then left the room. Evelyn, are you sure she likes him? Jack does seem to like females exclusively, Penny said. While she does like women, especially MILFs, she has stated to me that she's not certain if she's only into women. She said she hasn't found a man that she liked, Evelyn said. Until now, Penny said. Yep. Let's make sure it happens, Evelyn said. Deku was walking through the dormitory halls when he ran into Blake. Oh, Izuku, I was just looking for you, Blake said. Hey Blake, you need something, Deku asked. Well, it's not really something in particular. I want us to become closer with one another, Blake said. I see, and I would like that too, but Deku said. But Blake asked. You still haven't apologized to the others yet, have you, Deku said. No. No, I haven't, Blake said. If you want to become closer with each other, then you're going to have to apologize to them, Deku said. I know, Blake said. Would you like to do so now, Deku asked. Yes, Blake said. Alright, Evelyn and Penny are in our room. David is currently out with Jack, so you can apologize to him later, Deku said. Okay, Blake said. Blake and Deku then went to Team JPDE so she could apologize to Evelyn and Penny. Blake, I understand. Stand up, already. This is embarrassing, Evelyn said. Quite, Penny said. Very well, Blake said. And you didn't need to take off your ribbon, either, Evelyn said. Yes, Blake. That's not something you like to share, do you, Penny asked. Still. It's custom of this kind of apology to prostrate all of oneself, body and soul. I couldn't do it by hiding who I really am, Blake said. Oh, wow. You really are the princess of Menageria, aren't you, Evelyn said. Wait, what? Blake is a princess, Deku asked. You know about that, Blake asked. Well, not in the proper sense, but your family is the closest thing to royalty Menagerie's ever had, no, Evelyn said. I don't, Blake said. That sounds so nice. Should I start applying honorifics, Penny asked. Please don't, Blake said. Okay, time out, what is this about royalty, Deku asked. Long story and something she should probably talk to you about herself, but, suffice to say, there's layer and layer to Blake Belladonna, Evelyn said. It's not that I wanted to hide it, it's just that. Since Blake said. I understand, Blake. I've had dealings with the White Fang in the past, so I know a lot about its history and your family, and I understand why you wouldn't want to be associated with them any longer. Let's just make this my small vengeance on you for overstepping your boundaries a little and leave it at that. Now you are bared to us completely, Evelyn said. I understand, Blake said. Very well. Now, if you want to suck face with Izuku again, you're going to have to start from zero again, Evelyn said. What? Blake asked. We're open to the idea, as you are aware. All we ask is that we're given the proper respect, Penny said. Of course. Wait, why are you allowing me to? After Blake said. Because among other things, I also know who your ex is. So I understand why you'd want to slowly dip your toes in again, and I know firsthand that Aiju is a great guy to have around, Evelyn said. Please keep talking like I'm not in the room, Deku said. While I don't know all the details myself, I concur. But I also agree that you may have left the firearm, Penny said. You mean? Jumped the gun, Blake asked. That too, Penny said. So you're starting as good friends. So, why don't you go out together? Heard your first time out together didn't go so well, so why don't you have a do-over, Evelyn said. Thanks, girls. You're great. Just like Izuku said, Blake said. You're not half bad yourself, Miss Belladonna. Not half bad, Evelyn said. Thanks. I'll be going now. We'll talk about our day out later, Blake said. Right, see you around, Blake, Deku said. See you later, Evelyn said. Goodbye, Blake, Penny said. Blake then left the room. So, when were you two going to tell me that the Belladonna family is practically royalty, Deku asked, menacingly. Well, we thought it'd be better if you didn't know, Evelyn said. Indeed. There was a higher chance of success if Penny said. Success? What does that mean? Do I need to punish you too, Deku asked. The answer to the question was yes. Deku was walking through Vale at night. Suddenly someone tackled him into an alleyway, pressed him up against a wall and planted their lips on his. After getting his bearings, Deku saw that it was Neo. Deku began to kiss back and wrapped his arms around Neo. The kiss got more and more intensive, turning into a make-out session. After a long while the two broke away for air. Someone's is in a good mood, Deku said. Neo shook her head. Oh. Been having trouble with your underlings or your partners? Neo stopped on the ground. Both. Oh, wow, that must haven't been a good time, Deku said. Neo nodded and then smiled. You want to have a good time with me? I guess I can make that happen, Deku said. Neo smiled. Do not call me husbando, Deku said. Neo pouted. We are not married. You put a ring on my finger, that you stole, and said we're married, Deku said. Neo then pulled off Deku's gauntlet to see that he was still wearing the ring. Neo then stopped on the ground. Because you would crush my feet if I didn't. I know what you're like, Deku said. Neo pouted. Look, I will become your husbando, but you're going to have to wait your turn. I have others that have priority over you. These rings can be our engagement rings, okay, Deku said. Neo accepted. Good. Now let's go. I can't stay long, I have classes tomorrow, Deku said. Neo pouted but agreed. Good. Let's go, Deku said. Neo and Deku then held hands and began to walk, Neo skipping as they did. However, they only made it a few feet before Deku got a call from David. Sorry, Neo. I need to take this, Deku said. Neo pouted but let Deku answer. Hello, David. What's up, Deku asked. Right. I'm actually with her right now, Deku said. Neo, Emerald has been kidnapped by some thugs and we need your help to find them, Deku said. Neo turned away. What do you mean no? Neo, I know you may not like her but she's in danger, Deku said. Neo continued to face away. If you help us then I'll do whatever you want tonight, Deku said. Neo turned around with eyes sparkling. Except that, Deku said. Neo pouted but then smiled. Fine. I'll do that, Deku said. Okay David, she's playing ball, what did they look like? Deku asked. David then began to describe Emerald's abductors. In an apartment. Looks like we're going to need another clean-up crew, a thug thought. Are you sure about this, Gerard, the boss asked. I wager my life on it, boss. I've never been more sure of anything in my entire life, Gerard said. In that case. What a surprise. You're telling me this girl is the person who killed your brother, the boss asked. Yes. I remember it clear as day. She came out of nowhere, slit his throat and then disappeared again before anyone could do anything. The family turned the city inside out hunting for her, and all we managed to do was bring the police down on us. This bitch. You destroyed my family, Gerard said. Is that why she was after me? Kill one crime boss, go after others. Is she some kind of vigilante, now the boss asked. Beats me. All I know is that I would never allow her to do what she did to my brother, boss. All these years without a single lead. Her luck finally ran out, Gerard said. Guess she underestimated organized crime. How does it feel, young lady, the boss asked. Gerard's semblance forces muscular paralysis on anyone he touches. I've seen him use it on plenty of men and I understand it's quite painful, but I wonder if it's the same for women. I can personally attest you usually have a higher pain threshold, the boss said. It's more mercy than she gave my brother, that's for sure, Gerard said. Your brother, Emerald said. Gerard said. He was a pig, Emerald said. Oh, my, the boss said. He was a miserable, slimy waste of space. He took advantage of my mother. Got her addicted to drugs and abused her until it killed her, Emerald yelled. You watch your fucking mouth, Gerard said. You talk of mercy. You dare speak to me of mercy? If I could have, I would have done much worse than slit his throat. You wouldn't have been able to recognize the body afterwards, if I could have taken my time with Emerald said. Gerard then punched Emerald, causing her to fall down. Boss. I don't know how much more I can stand her, Gerard said. Oh, I understand, Gerard. Still, throw your boss a bone. If all you want to do with her is kill her. I guess I can have a little bit of fun, first. Mind getting my tools out of storage, the boss asked. There was then a knock on the door. Pizza delivery, the delivery boy. Huh? Who the fuck ordered a pizza, the boss asked. The thugs all looked at each other in confusion. Just get rid of him, the Gerard said. Just then someone came smashing through a wall, taking two thugs down. What the, a thug said, before the front door was kicked open and David took him out. Who the fuck are you two, Gerard asked. You want to die, punks, a thug asked. Don't let him touch you, Emerald yelled. He won't even get close to do so, Deku said in a menacing tone. Deku then moved to take out the remaining thugs whilst David protected Emerald. The thugs were quickly dealt with. Are you alright, David asked. Yeah. Mostly. How, Emerald asked. Neapolitan is the one you want to thank, Deku said. I see, Emerald said. David, get Emerald out of here. I'll take these guys to the police station, Deku said. But with no evidence, they'll be out next day. Don't worry. I'll get them to confess, Deku said. How? You're not exactly, Emerald said. All of a sudden Deku get very menacing. I'll put the fear of God in their eyes, Deku said. David and Emerald then proceeded to leave, not wanting to see what Deku would do. David and Emerald went to a small park not that far from the apartment. What the hell are you doing, Emerald asked. I was trying to give you my jacket, David said. You, Emerald said. You're shivering. I guess it's because it's a cold night, David said. I don't need your pity, Emerald said. Maybe. But you certainly needed my help, didn't you, David asked. you Emerald said. So, your past is back in your life, now. How does it feel? David asked. How do you? Emerald asked. Same way I knew you were in trouble to begin with. I heard the guy as he passed me saying he would never forget those red eyes, David said. You promised, anyway, so care to enlighten me? David asked. What the hell is wrong with you? Emerald said. Pardon? David asked. Are you a psychopath? Is this some kind of kink? Knowing people's past? Is this really just to satisfy your curiosity? Is that worth so much to you? You like playing hero? You want to fuck me? What is it? Emerald asked. You're very mistrustful, Emerald, Deku said. Emerald jumped in surprise and ran behind David. Those guys won't be bothering you anymore, Deku said. Thanks, Emerald said. You're welcome. Now I must go see Neo about her payment, Deku said. What exactly is her payment? David asked. Her name is Neapolitane. You can figure the rest out, Deku said. Oh, David said, blushing. What is wrong with her? Emerald asked. What's wrong with you? Think about your life and what you want to do with it. I'll see you tomorrow, Deku said. See you. Enjoy your ice cream, David teased. Deku rolled his eyes and left, leaving David and Emerald to continue talking. Late at night in Junior's. You sure you don't wanna come see the VIP room? A female Vale citizen asked. As much as it pains me to refuse an invitation for company and booze, I'm here for someone else tonight. You go enjoy the party with your friends, Crow said. Okay, the female Vale citizen said. Crow then sighed. I hate family reunions, Crow said. Crow then walked up to the bar. What are you doing? Raven Crow asked. I'd expect you of all people to recognize a tall one when you see it, Crow Raven said. We talking about the drink or the absentee mother, here? Crow asked. Why is it always about that girl? Raven said. Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you left her and tie as soon as the stitches healed up, Crow said. Don't remind me. You know I had to tell the tribe you gave me that, Raven said. You what? Crow asked. Who's ever heard of a chieftain getting a C-section? Also, hey, made your defection much easier. There's a kill on sight ruling for you, but they are scared shitless because they think you're a match for me. Hilarious, Raven said. Is this what passes for sisterly love, nowadays? Crow asked. Only form you got a right to, anyway. You're a traitor, remember? Raven said. And proud of it. Returning to the original question, what are you doing? Crow asked. As I said, having a drink. Got nostalgic and wanted to check the old hangout. What an improvement compared to our school days, huh? Then, maybe I'll get one of these city boys to clean my pipes. Although, there's plenty of cute girls, too. Decisions, Raven said. Raven Crow yelled. Hey, I saw you flirt with that girl to get in a list and cut in line. What's with the double standards? Sexist, Raven said. Cut the crap. What are you in Vale for? Why sis you leave a trail for me to follow? Crow asked. I guess believing you suddenly got good enough to track me or the tribe down is too far-fetched even for you. Fine, I left you some breadcrumbs, Raven said. So you wanted to talk? Crow asked. I wanted to warn you. There's something big coming your way, brother, and your little carder is ill prepared, Raven said. Ha. Didn't know you cared, Crow said. Ha. I don't. But it'll be fun watching you flail aimlessly and fail despite having been forewarned. Then, if I feel like it and someone didn't beat me to it, I may cut off Ozpin's head, Raven said. Like I'd let you, Crow said. Like you could stop me. You never could, Raven said. Things have changed, Crow said. Oh, so you stopped being a complete fuck up at everything you do. Stopped being that grey-haired asshole's lapdog. Stopped believing you're a better person than me, Raven asked. You're a thief and a murderer. You've let down everyone who's ever loved you, Crow said. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had been doing plenty of thieving and murdering yourself over few years. Or is it fine when you do it because it's to keep the peace, otherwise known as the big wool you're pulling over Remnant's eyes? And speaking of letting people down, how's Summer doing, Raven asked. Crow got very angry. Seriously, do with it what you will. Watch out for trouble after the end of the school year and during the Vittle Festival, Raven said. And why should I trust anything out of your mouth, Crow asked. Because you already know they are targeting Vale, you've already lost a maiden and I'd prefer if her focus was Vale instead of somewhere else for a little while longer, Raven said. Always looking out for number one, huh, Crow said. Someone has to, Raven said. Raven then began to walk off. I'll be in Vale for a while, Crow. And I'm telling you already, apology not accepted, Raven said. Raven then left. Thursday. Day 151. You should probably wait for her to approach you, hun, Evelyn said. That'd be ideal, as it would allow us to hold all the cards, but she could decide to approach us on the wrong occasion. Say, on Sunday morning, Deku said. OOF, of course, when there's less people and no teachers around, Evelyn said. Yeah. So it'd be better if I go talk to her myself, even if, Deku said. Hey, Deku. Mind doing me a solid, Young asked. Young and Cinder. What solid do you need, Deku asked. Need some help with some pack mule duties and you are no doubt able to help me. Cinder gently offered to help, but it's a lot of stuff for just 2 people to bring to the venue, Young said. I see. I'd be happy to help. Lead the way then, Deku said. Much obliged, Ijuku, Cinder said. Deku then helped Young and Cinder carry things for the venue. As Deku entered the venue for the first time, he was stunned. He didn't know such a place existed in Beacon. Wow. This place is massive, Deku said. We've got to accommodate all the first and second years, plus transfer students. This is actually a leftover of the Royal Palace, Young said. Wait. Royal Palace, Deku asked. Well, someone's surprised. You didn't know that Beacon was built out of Vale's Royal Palace, Young asked. I did not. That would explain why parts of Beacon look like a palace. I just thought it was an aesthetics choice, Deku said. When the king abdicated, the royal family decided to move out of the palace, which they then donated to the quickly reforming Vale so that they could make a place of learning out of it. Never thought about how weirdly well positioned the school is. You can see your surroundings for miles, it's elevated compared to Vale City, Cinder said. It had fortifications too, once upon a time. And the Emerald Forest was the royal family's hunting grounds, Young said. I see. But isn't it kind of foolish to have the heads of the kingdom so close to an area chock full of grim, Deku asked. It may seem so at first, but it wouldn't do for the royal family not to be able to fight and defend themselves. Also, having the Emerald Forest practically being the palace's back garden means they weren't ever too far from safety, Cinder said. Alright, enough with the history lessons. Let's just place the supplies somewhere and then we can go have lunch, Young said. Alright. Let's leave them near the stage, Deku said. The 3 then put the supplies near the stage and then Young quickly headed for lunch, leaving Deku and Cinder alone. Never laugh like that in front of me ever again, Deku said. If I'm not allowed to enjoy myself at other people's expenses, what is left in life for me? And I'd think you were used to seeing new sides of me, love, Cinder said. Don't call me love. Or any other terms of endearment. And what's this about? Helping with preparations for the ball, Deku said. Just doing my part to make this an event worth of the Vittle Festival. An opportunity to see the most well-preserved part of the Vale Royal Palace without a bunch of people in it. How could I not take it, Cinder asked. Sure. Anyway, you will be told everything after the final exam, Deku said. Excuse me, Cinder asked. You want to know about Janra, don't you? So, I'll tell you, but not now, Deku said. How did you know, Cinder asked. Because after our little encounter you've been avoiding me, but the moment Ozpin gets interested in her, you started stalking me again, looking for an opportunity to talk to me. So, if you stop stalking me or any of the others, I'll tell you everything we know about Janra, but only after the final exam, Deku said. Provided the vow of non-interference is reciprocal. This arrangement works perfectly for me, Cinder said. Very well, then, Deku said. Deku then left. Her name is Janra, Cinder thought. Deku was currently relaxing in his room with Evelyn, Penny and David. So, what do you guys think of young Deku said. Young. I don't know much about her, but she seems a nice girl, Evelyn said. She can also be fun to be around. Her stupid puns do get a laugh out of me, David said. Ruby seems to think the world of her, too. I think she would be a nice addition, Penny said. Why do you think I want to date young Deku asked. Because it's you, the three said. That's fair, Deku said. So, what brought you to the decision of dating young David asked. It was her large tits, wasn't it? I knew you always had a thing for big titties, Evelyn said, jiggling her boobs. No comment. We had a heart-to-heart and, well, I feel like we've become closer than ever before. I think it might be time, Deku said. After analyzing your interactions with Young, I have seen a significant increase in more flirtatious talk than before. I'd say it's more than past the time, Penny said. I agree. Go nab yourself that busty dragon, honey, Evelyn said. Okay. I'll go ask her out. I'll see you, Deku said. A bird then flew off from the balcony. None of them had noticed it was there. Was that a bird on our balcony, David asked. A raven, I think, Evelyn said. You don't think it may have been Howard, Penny asked. I don't think he'd try anything at Beacon. He would be thrashed harder than the first time. Anyways, best not keep Young waiting, Deku said. Break a leg, David said. No thank you. I'm not Nora, Deku said. Deku then left the room. Deku headed for the arena, as that's where Young usually was after school, and she was. You're a woman of routines, aren't you, Deku asked. More like a girl of habits. Routine makes me sound boring, Young said. Oh please, nothing you ever could do could be considered boring, Deku said. Being a stay-at-home mom, Young said. You really think you'll be a stay-at-home mom? If anything, I'll be the one staying at home to look after our child, Deku said. Ha! Nice joke, Young said. I'm not joking, Deku said. How, Young said. It could be a possible future depending on one question. Young's eye, how long would you like to go out with me, Deku asked. Oh my gosh, Young blushed. I talked about it with Evelyn, Penny and David, Deku said. Oh my gosh, Young said. And they are all in agreement to extend an invitation, Deku said. I don't know, Young said. You don't need decide straight away. Perhaps just a date to test the waters, Deku said. A date sounds nice, Young said. Alright. I'll hit you up when, Deku said. A bird then flew off from a window. That was a big bird, Young said. Saw one just like it on our balcony. Looks like a flock of ravens have moved into the school, Deku said. Raven, how, Young said. I'm sorry, Deku asked. Nothing. So, let's pick a day and just go, Young said. Alright, Deku said. Deku had gone to Professor Peach's classroom to continue their attempt to achieve space travel. So as we discovered last time, dust doesn't work in a vacuum or one specific element. Perhaps it's a combination of elements that allows dust to function, Peach said. Or there's some other element or something that allows dust to function, Deku said. It's a big and puzzling question to answer here. What actually allows dust to work, Peach said. That is a hard question, but that won't stop us, right, Deku asked. Exactly. We'll keep looking for the answer until our deaths, and hope our discoveries help the future generations find the answer if we haven't by then. So, where do you think we should start, Peach said. I think we should start off with is finding out if there are any locations dust doesn't work or is less efficient, Deku said. And why do you think that, my science partner, Peach asked. Surely dust doesn't only not work the higher in atmosphere you go. There must be some other places on Remnant where dust is harder to use. Perhaps in caves or underwater. The element that allows dust to function can't be everywhere, surely, Deku said. An interesting hypothesis, but there are elements on our atmosphere that are everywhere. Oxygen is one, it's in the air and the water. Hard to find a place where there's a lack of oxygen. The same could be said for dust. Dust appears to work the same no matter where you are on Remnant's surface or underground. The only thing that makes dust weaker or stronger is its purity, Peach said. Bummer, Deku said. And now we've hit a roadblock, Peach said. Then perhaps we ask another question. Maybe the answer to that question will help us answer our first, Deku said. Interesting. What is this question, Peach asked. Where does dust come from, Deku asked. Mines, Peach said. That's not what I meant. What I want to know is how dust crystals are formed. What exactly makes up a dust crystal, Deku said. That may be an easier question to answer. First, we need to look at a map with all the dust mines and then look at what dust crystals are most common in that area, Peach said. Then let's get to work, Deku said. Yeah, Peach said, in a somber tone. Don't like looking at papers, Deku asked. No, I love to do experiments and hate doing paperwork. Why can't I just be allowed to experiment, Peach said. Because then all your hard work would go to waste. It's important to write your finding down, Deku said. I know. Still don't like it, Peach said. Well, let's start before you lose your will to live, Deku said. Right. The papers should be in that cabinet over there, Peach said. You keep physical records of that, Deku asked. I keep physical records of all things dust related, no matter how useless it may be. It's worked for our ancestors and will continue working for me, Peach said. Fair point, Deku said. The two then walked over to the cabinet. The papers are on the top shelf. There are a lot of papers, to be careful, Peach said. Peach then grabbed on stack of papers and walked to her desk. Deku then reached up and grabbed another stack of papers, but as he pulled them out, a box full of glass flasks filled with red dust came with. Oh shit, Deku yelled. Deku tried to catch the box, but it crashed to the ground. Sorry, Deku said. It's alright, Izuku. I shouldn't have stored those flasks up there, Peach said. Still, sorry. What even is this stuff? It's red like ground up fire dust, but if it was, shouldn't it have exploded, Deku asked. Oh, that's because it's not fire dust. It's an aphrodisiac, Peach said. Oh, no, Peach said. Deku then began to walk towards Professor Peach in a drunk-like state. Mr. Midoriya, you need to snap out of it, Peach said. Deku continued walking. Izuku. Please. Not again, Peach said. Deku then picked up Peach and started kissing her as they crashed into the desk. The two only broke for air. Take me, Izuku, Peach said, now under the influence of the aphrodisiac. Deku and Peach then started making out again and things quickly got very heated. A while later, Evelyn was making her way to Professor Peach's classroom. As she made her way down, she ran into Titania. Hello Titania, Evelyn said. Oh, hey Evelyn, what are you doing here at this hour, Titania asked. I could ask the same for you, Evelyn said. Mom hasn't come back yet. It's been hours. So, me and Janra went looking for her. Janra is looking around the rest of the school whilst I check the classrooms, Titania said. Well, luckily for you. I know where she is, Evelyn said. You do? Titania asked. Yeah. She should be in her classroom with Aiju. He said that they were going to be doing some experiments. In fact, I was coming to check up on Aiju, he hasn't come back. We've tried to call, but he didn't pick up, Evelyn said. Neither has Mom, Titania said. I'm sure it's nothing, come on, Evelyn said. The two then made their way to Peach's classroom, but when they arrived, they saw a sight they never thought they'd see. Oh my God, Titania said. Oh my bunnies. He's going at it. He's never been this rough before. Seriously. Ijuku is fucking my mom and that's what you have to say, Titania asked. And Evelyn asked. Why are you so nonchalant about this, Titania asked. 1. We've expanded our relationship. 2. It's fucking hot, Evelyn said, as she continued watching. Fuck me, Titania said. Hey Titania. You found Mom, Janra asked. Yes. She said she's busy and so we should have dinner without her, Titania said, wanting to take Janra away as quickly as possible. Huh? What's the matter? Why are you pushing me, Janra asked. Because I'm hungry. And I bet you are too, so let's go, Titania said. Okay, Janra said. Fuck me. Why am I so turned on by this? Am I in heat? How is this possible, Evelyn questioned. I should go before I burst in and have him rail me. Having David do it will satiate my somehow induced heat, Evelyn said. Evelyn then left for Team JPDDE's room, leaving Deku and Peach to continue all night long. End of chapter 57.